What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the Geek Show. Today, I've got a 24 hours later project that we're doing. I've got Will Sigmon here and Brahm Shank from the Apple-losophy podcast. They are the co-creators of it. So, guys, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves? Tell us about... I was on their show, if you don't remember. So, guys, go ahead and introduce yourselves, and then we'll get into our first day with the new M1 products from Apple.
Our show is basically about unwrapping the tech of today. So we take, what the companies do, what Apple's doing, what Microsoft's doing, what Android's doing. We take a snapshot of the market and we package it up in bite-sized pieces so that the everyday person can understand not only the technology and its capabilities, but how they can utilize it in their everyday lives.
Yeah, so guys, 24 hours with the new M1 products. Before we dive into it, of course, be sure to hit the subscribe button and click the bell so that you don't miss as we cover your favorite tech and video games. I'm Chris Grant Jr. That's Brahm Shank. That's Will Sigmon. It's the Geek Show. All right, so I guess, Will, let's start with you. Delivery day comes. You're waking up in the morning. Excitement. Tell us, let's do a little story time. How was your delivery day?
Oh, man. It was a little bit different than I anticipated. And I say that because I had been hoping, against hope, that So I ordered all three of the new products. Apple TV 4K, iPad 12.9 M1, and the iMac, the green one. And so all of the stuff shipped except for the iPad that I ordered. I could try to be happy with just the iMac and the Apple TV, but the FOMO in me and the Apple like fanboy in me was like, I can't be hearing Brahm and Chris bragging about theirs and not have mine, right? Somebody reminded me that you could walk in and get like the limited supply. So what I did, launch day morning, woke up. I was already like hardly sleeping because I was excited, and woke up around 7, just for kicks. Checked the Best Buy website. Believe it or not, there were like 3 stores kind of near me. None of the ones I would normally go to. So I was actually able to snag the one that I wanted. I checked the Apple Store. I was like, okay, I'm going to check it around 8 and see if things have changed. Sure enough, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, all of a sudden everybody's in stock. And I was able to snag my baseline 128 silver 12.9 at the Apple Store, canceled the Best Buy, and was able to pick it up.
Wow. That is insane. That is a crazy story. So many different stores you ended up going to. So, Brahm, okay, you're waking up. It's delivery day. You're expecting your stuff. What happens for you?
So, a couple hours of sleep. I finally wake up around, 7:30 a.m. I have the 12.9-inch M1 iPad Pro on its way. I also have the M1 iMac, the new iMac in blue. I'm waiting for that to arrive, and they're both, one of them's UPS and one of them's FedEx. Okay, now I trust the folks at UPS. They're good people. FedEx, not so much. But anywho, so I was counting more so on my iPad Pro arriving versus the iMac. Couldn't tell what I was more excited for at this point, but what I said is I'm going to go out and I'm going to run a couple errands, and I'm going to roll by the Apple Store. I roll up to the Apple Store after run a few errands, and I'm like, I'm going to try to pick up the Apple TV. At least, because I need the new Apple TV. So I get in there. I'm waiting around like forever. People are running around. They're ushering people in and out, handing over products and stuff like that. But I was probably there waiting for almost a solid half hour. Waiting just to receive. After they had said, "Hey, what's up, Brahm?" I was probably waiting there for like a half hour, waiting just to get the product.
Did they say, "Hey, what's up, Brahm," because they knew you, or because you told them your name when you walked in the store?
Because I told them, I'm also a household name, Will. Probably about 11 minutes into waiting for them to hand me the Apple TV that is sitting across from me on the table. Just waiting for them to hand it to me. I've already paid for it. It's for pickup. I get a Ring doorbell notification. And my iMac is on the doorstep. And I'm sitting here trapped at Apple waiting for an Apple TV. And
With
my
an
iMac
iMac
is
on the
sitting
door.
on the doorstep. They're like, dude, what are you excited about? Like, the employee there was like, you're just getting an Apple TV? Like, what do you mean? I'm like, no, there's an iMac at home. You don't understand. This was just sensory overload. So I get home. I unbox the iMac, get it all set up on my desk. The moment I finish the setup process for Mac OS, moment I'm done creating the account and everything, the doorbell rings again.
Oh.
Guess who it is? Knock, knock. M1 iPad Pro is here.
Right.
So I'm like, well, I got to back up my old one. I love to do wired backups right up until I get the new one. I just don't trust wireless backups because I have so much data. And so I'm like in heaven, and all I'm doing is watching loading screens.
Yeah, dude, I totally relate. Brahm and I were both sending each other photos yesterday of like double of every product spread out because we were, migrating from one to the other.
One of the first things that we did is me and Will FaceTimed each other. And I'm like, I got to play with this center stage thing. So me and Will were bouncing around. I mean, I was bouncing around the whole room. Like, can you see me now? Can you see me?
Yeah, when we were going to record this episode, I was going to be like, how cool would it be for all three of us to be recording an episode, like jumping around?
You'd have to watch that episode in VR, Chris.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I would imagine it would get dizzying with three of them at the same time.
I was going to say, it actually might have been not so great as a viewer.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, that's kind of the first thing that people take out the box and like try and play with. I mean, that was one of the first things I used in my comparison. The delivery day for me was pretty uneventful. Unfortunately, no matter how many times I called UPS, they would not tell me where my package was. And it was and so it kept saying, oh, delivery Friday by 7 p.m. So I'm calling up, and I have UPS My Choice, so I'm supposed to be able to hold a package in places. But they were like, oh, it's in China. Oh, it's in China.
On launch day, they're telling you it's in China?
Yeah, for real. And so I'm like, this is crazy. So after 50 million times, I had already put my phone number in to get updates, right? So then finally they send me an update saying that it's out in my neighborhood, like out for delivery. And I'm like, how was it in China this morning and now it's out for delivery? So, but overall delivery day was, I think, a success for all of us. Let us know down in the comments below what it was like for you. Have you gotten your product yet? I know a lot of you guys in the comments have been saying July and mid-June and stuff like that. So, do definitely let us know. But guys, from there, I want to get into our first impression. So now we've all had our M1s, whether it's iMac or iPad, for about 24 hours, a little more, a little less. Just what's your reaction? How have you enjoyed the product?
I can start because I don't think I'm going to have as much to say as you two. And that's only because I'm more of a Mac workflow person. My day-to-day is a lot of times more consuming. Now, that being said, the XDR display is insane for HDR video. I did try that out. I was enamored with my Mac so much, I haven't had as much time to play on the iPad, and much less kind of compare speeds, particularly among more creative type apps. I haven't really tried to flex it, if you will, on like photo editing and things like that. I think one test that I know I can do, I'll do it right now while we're on the show, is one of my favorite apps is Pixelmator Pro.
Yes!
They have a feature...
Team Pixelmator.
Yeah, they have a feature that, I don't know I can't remember what it's called, but it makes the image sharper. And that always took a good deal of time on the 2020 iPad. So let me try that.
For sure. Brahm, what did you think?
I'm absolutely blown away by this device. Now I want to start with first impressions. I actually was able to hold one first at the Apple Store and then my own. But my immediate impression, strangely enough, and I'm a stickler about this stuff. People get annoyed with me, but it's thick. It's thicker.
It is thick. Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like when Apple makes things thicker.
Really?
Unless I get a monumentally better battery, which I have yet to discover, or XDR. We're going to get into that in a moment. First thing I did when I received my own, after I got it all booted up and restored, I fired up, and I'm sure you did this too, Chris, I fired up some Avengers action.
Yeah,
a little bit of Marvel
Netflix,
action there.
For sure, yeah.
And one of the things that I noticed first and foremost was, the aspect ratio's always kind of been boxy on the iPad, and it has its reasons for that, because creative-wise, that's awesome. But when you're watching a video, of course, you get those black bars on the top and bottom. This feels like an OLED screen. It feels like those pixels are off. And and you have nearly 2600. It's about 2596 dimming zones on this display. You certainly feel that the moment you take it out of the box. and that's significantly more than what's on the Pro Display XDR. Apple definitely made the right decision by going mini LED on this front, and it's definitely worth it being a little thicker, to answer your question.
Yeah,
a little thicker, a little heavier.
Yeah, I was gonna say, for me, I'm working on like a keyboard case that has some custom features, some modded features that I've been putting together myself. For me, I'm like, if it can weigh as much or less than a MacBook Pro, I'm happy. You know what I'm saying? In laptop form. Obviously, as a tablet, you don't want it to be too thick and too heavy. But for me, I had the 11-inch third generation iPad Pro, and then I went back to the second generation 12.9-inch iPad Pro because we know that software isn't something that really pushes the iPad Pros, and I even did a video kind of cranking it up to 11 on the second gen iPad Pro, and I was able to edit in LumaFusion while making a Pixelmator thumbnail, while doing all this different stuff. And so I decided to go with the 12.9 of that version, because you're still getting 120 hertz, you're still getting P3 and all those things. So for me, that thing is a big boy. It's a heavy iPad. It's got the borders and everything. So coming to this, it was pretty much the same weight. So I felt no weight difference. So that I guess a lot of people from the third and fourth generation are kind of feeling, because it is a little bit thicker, it is a little bit heavier. But I think, like you said, they're perfect trade-offs when you're getting arguably the best prosumer and consumer display on the market, period.
And I said that on our podcast. This will be, for many people, to this point in their life, the best display they've ever seen. With the glass, I think they made the glass stronger.
You think they're using some of the ceramic technology from the iPhone?
I think there's some ceramic shield technology, some kind of new hybrid, maybe Gorilla Glass. Get this, if any of you guys have an older iPad laying around, a 2018 or even a 2020 model, if you press on the screen like this, you can feel the glass flex a little bit.
Yeah.
Try to do that on the new one. It doesn't flex at all.
Oh, well, I've been afraid to.
It's extremely rigid.
Will, have you, I know you said you had used the Mac workflow more kind of than the iPad Pro. Did you get a chance to run that test that you were saying?
Yes, I just did, and I did notice a difference. Here's my thought. So the people at Pixelmator, they're always on top of it. They make phenomenal software.
They really do.
And my guess would be that this app isn't, because it's an iPad only, it's not optimized for M1 yet. Do I notice a difference? Yes. I notice a difference kind of like when you compare an Intel version of an app on an old Mac with Intel versus an M1 through Rosetta. You notice an increase, but it's not quite the same thing as being
what it could be
natively optimized. So I would say I noticed probably about a 30% speed increase.
I think the next step for Pixelmator definitely is bringing Pixelmator Pro to the iPad, because they have like the Pixelmator version, but not Pixelmator Pro. And I think because Adobe has already put a beefier Photoshop, Pixelmator's going to follow suit. And I heard Max Tech on their channel, they were talking about the quad speakers being closer in, and that's to prevent people from covering the speakers when they're holding it like this, or even when they're holding it on the side, so that the speaker grill's not being covered. So they are moved in a little bit.
Yeah, we talked extensively about that on the podcast, if you remember, Will, why they were decreasing the number of speaker holes. One of the interesting takeaways, and shout out to Zolotech, Zolotech actually took some of that magnet paper, and he showed a comparison between the 2020 model and the 2021 iPad. Oval shaped on the 2020 model and rectangular shaped on the 2021 model.
Wow. Wow, so they're definitely doing some stuff behind the scenes. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for a lot more on the way as WWDC is coming, and with big refreshes to iOS, expect a whole slew of new bugs. Some of the old ones, in fact, probably most of the old ones fixed, but new bugs for sure. Anyway, guys, that has been our first 24 hours, give or take, with the new M1 iMac, the iPad Pro. We didn't talk too much Apple TV, but we'll save that for another episode. We'll have you guys back on the show. In the meantime, where can we find you guys? Appleosophy.
You can find me, Brahm Shank, and my co-host Will Sigmon on Appleosophy Weekly, where we unwrap the tech of today, the tech of that week, so to speak, because it is every Friday on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all those fun people. You can find us every Friday unwrapping the tech of today. Have fun with us.
And you can find me on Twitter first if you want, WSIG, and all my links to everything else is in my bio there. And I also do another podcast called A Little Perspective, and I just wrapped season 1, and basically I have different guests on that have different expertises about subjects of all different types, and we get into those topics. Brahm's been on the show a couple times, once as a interviewee and once as a co-host, so I think you guys will find that interesting, and that is also in the bio link.
One thing that I think fans of this show would enjoy is we actually recently, for the grand finale of A Little Perspective podcast, we had technologist David Pogue on the show, and he's been one of the lead tech editors for the New York Times, CBS Sunday Morning. He has a lot of great ideas, really impactful ideas, and we had the chance to sit down with him. So if you're an Apple fan, you will love that podcast.
Wow, definitely. I mean, I'm about to listen to it right after this. So guys, definitely check out links to everything that we mentioned will be down in the description below. You can follow all the social media. I'll put that somewhere up on the screen. Be sure to check out a couple other videos. I got them here on the screen as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Chris. That's Will Sigmon. Brahm Shank. It's the Granite Geek Show.